Hi, this is Ryan from Masuva, and in this video I'm going to go through the Payments with Stripe add-on for concrete5. I'm going to talk about Stripe Checkout, how to set up this add-on and some of the features it has. Well, first of all, what is Stripe Checkout? Well, Stripe is a payment gateway and allows you to process credit card transactions, but Stripe Checkout is one of their products that allows you to handle the actual transaction on a payment screen that they host. So that takes away a lot of the complexity of validating credit cards, inputting data and making sure that's correct. So what that means is we can use this checkout facility to do the hard work of taking a payment, and on our concrete5 site all we need is a button, and that's where the add-on comes in. So here we have in front of us, this is just an example of what the Stripe checkout might look like. So here we have a concrete5 install, and you would go to the extend concrete5 section or install via the marketplace, and we'll install the add-on here. Now this process should only take about 2 minutes to set up, and I'm hoping to prove that here. So the first thing it asks us to do is go to the Stripe settings page. And it looks like there's a lot of instructions, but it's really just going through the steps that you need to do in order and how to do them. So we can scroll down and start talking about API keys from Stripe. Now I want to start off in test transaction mode, which I'll leave this here. I have a Stripe account here. I've already registered this. It only takes a few minutes to sign up for a new test account, and this is what it looks like when you first log in. So the instructions ask us to go to the developers section, and then we go to the API key section, and it asks to copy this test publishable key and copy that into the dashboard. So we'll do this now. And we also need the secret key, which is this one here. We paste those in. And that's the first step done. The second step is it asks us to go to the webhook section to use this URL to enter a webhook into the Stripe dashboard. So we go into the webhook section here, we add a new endpoint, we paste in the callback URL there, and then it asks us to select this event and have that event be the one that's sent through. And finally, the last step is that we need this secret signing key, and we copy that back into our concrete5 installation, and that's done. So we can save that. So at this stage, the add-on is configured with Stripe, and we can start adding our payment buttons. So there's lots of different ways that this can be done, but I'll start off with a really simple button to show an example. So let's add a new payment with Stripe button, and I'll drag that on. And I'm going to do just a demo product here. It's going to be a meeting with my cat, whose name is Jazzy. So meeting with Jazzy, and that is going to cost $30. We can change different currencies here. We can also set the default currency for every button you add, but there's a list of currencies we can change to there. I'm going to select product image of her, and I'll leave all the details except for the description. I'll say a 30-minute meeting with Jazzy. And the last step I'll do is, after the payment's completed, I'd like to send the customer to a thank you page. So I'll select this here, and I'll leave everything else as is. Those are the extra settings we'll explore in a bit. So add that button. I might change the label from pay to make payment to meet with Jazzy. So we've got control over that, but notice that the only thing that we're outputting here is this payment button. And that's the idea of the block, is that the payment button is the only content that needs to be styled. The rest of it is content that you would add to the page yourself. That means that you could add content blocks, you could add image blocks, you could use layouts, you can pretty much set up your page however you like with the existing concrete5 controls, and we only then add this payment block at the end to enable payments. That's a great way of handling things without having to worry about setting up cart controls and lists of products and all of those styling tasks that are very arduous. So that's done. So let's test it out. So if we hit that button now, we'll see we get redirected to this Stripe checkout page. We can see our image there, we can see our description and our price and the product name there. So I'll put in my details, and I'll put in a test card, which is 42, like that. I'll put this through, and I'll put in my details there, and I'll just put in test. Once we hit pay, Stripe will process that credit card transaction. It will then send me back to my thank you page, and there it is there. Now, while that's happened, I've also received a receipt email. So I'll bring that up onto the screen here, as well as a notification email that's sent to the administrator or the shop admin of the website, which has the same sort of details, but it has a couple more options to do with the a couple more options to link through to the Stripe receipt and the Stripe dashboard. You can also configure the Stripe checkout to send a receipt email of its own, and you can also turn this off from the concrete5 side, so you can choose which receipt you like. I would suggest though that the one that comes from concrete5 is going to be more detailed with what it shows. So what are some other things we can do with this? Well, one example is that instead of us paying for a fixed product, we could change this to be a donation. So this would be where we change the submit type to donation. So that's what shows up in Stripe's dashboard, checkout page, I should say. And the product description will leave blank for the moment, and we'll actually get rid of the product amount. And then under options, we can start to enable some additional things. So we'll say donate now. We can ask for, say, the phone number to be collected, and we'll ask for the amount of input to be turned on, which means someone can type in how much they are going to be charged. And I'll change this to donation amount and turn on the symbol for that field. And we can also turn on the description input. So this one here allows someone to actually type the description of the product in, and then that gets recorded and sent through to the receipt emails. So it might be your donation comment. And while I'm here, I'll also turn on the billing address here to show that one. And so with those extra things on the screen, we start to get a form show up. So I'll try this one instead. I'll put some information in here. We'll say I'm going to donate $10, and my comment, I'll try and post it, but it's saying no, I have to fill in this field. Donation comment would be thank you for your great work. Now if we hit donate, we're getting a donate button, we're getting a donation, and there is the message that I typed in as the customer. I'd also change the image here, but we'll leave her in place. And we'll also see that it started to put in some billing address fields as well. And we'll change the image here to something a bit more appropriate. So there's our donate image there. We can also put in the amount, product amount here. If we want to put a suggested donation, we could change the labeling to help with that, or put some notes around it. It's very flexible. The other thing you can do is use this to handle a invoice payment. So this is really just about changing the terminology. Instead of donation, we might say invoice payment. Instead of the label donation amount, we might say invoice number, and ask the customer, or the person paying their bill, to put in their invoice number. And then that will come through, sorry, that one there, the description field there. So that might be, for the amount field, that might be the invoice amount. And that allows, if you're running a service, you might be a web developer, web agency, you might want your customers to be able to pay their invoices online using a credit card. Well, this would allow you to create a very simple form on a page on your website that would allow them to type in a reference number, the invoice number, the amount they like to pay, process that, transaction via credit card and then receive a receipt. So that's one option. Another option is that you can also configure this add-on to do protected content. So we've got in the after payment section a create member on payment option. Now this one allows you to automatically create a user when a payment's made. And so we might, instead of redirecting to a thank you page, we will redirect to a protected content page. And what that means is that when the person purchases it, if they're not logged in and the email address has never been used before, they will automatically get redirected and logged in, and they will be able to view their content. But behind the scenes, they'll receive both a receipt email and an email with their username and password that's been created for them. If they already exist, it won't log them in because that's a security concern, but it will update their existing user account, the one that matches their email address, with the new user group that's been selected, and they'll get a notification to say, hey, your user account has been updated with the new permissions. So what that means is that you can set up, say, a subscription system or some protected content. It might be some downloads using concrete5's permission system, and you can use that in so many different ways. You can protect pages, you can protect individual blocks and content. You could have multiple levels of subscription, different things. You can have users automatically expire from groups after a period of time. So you can use all of that, and this mechanism allows people to pay for that and get a user account and the right user groups against that user account within a few clicks. So that's a very flexible option. The last one is that there is the ability to restrict stock level. Now, this add-on's not really intended for physical products to ship. You can use it that way, and there's nothing stopping you, but it's really intended more for payments for digital things or for things that don't have to be physically shipped. So in this case, you might want to sell something like an event ticket. So you would put in a stock level there, and then as that is purchased, that number there on the block will reduce. And finally, when it hits 0, it will stop the payments from being made and display the message, the no stock message here. So there's a few different ways to use this add-on. You can get quite creative with it, with different combinations of these fields. Finally, you might have cases where you want to sell one product, but there might be some variations of it. There might be one where you want to have an extra cost for an extra service, or it might be that you would like to show the taxes as a separate line item. It depends on your laws about how taxes show on invoices. If that's the case, you would put in your line item here, and you might say, well, that's $2, and I'll just flick this back to turn these off and go back to more of a traditional product here. We'll save that, and you'll see the line item here starts to show up as a separate line item there. So whilst you can't sell multiple products, it's not a shopping cart as such, it's for individual payments. You can add additional line items if that makes your invoicing and your payments clearer. So that's the add-on. It's very flexible. It's very secure because the payments are handled on Stripe's checkout here. It also is quite configurable. The things like the receipt emails, you can put headers and footers. Actually, we'll jump to that right now. Go back to the site. Under email settings, we've got lots of different things that we can do. We can change the notification subjects. We can put a header and a footer on the receipt emails that a customer receives. So you might like to add your logo. You might add some business details, some contact details like that. And there's even some templates for the membership emails. So if you'd like to change the wording, that outputs by default. So out of the box, you can change the classes on the buttons, so you can change the styling very easily. You can customize the receipt emails. You can also customize where and who from the emails come from. And that means that realistically within 5 to 10 minutes you can have transactions happening via Stripe with very, very little configuration or really even technical knowledge. So the final stage is, what do you do when you'd like to go live? Well, this is a case of going to Stripe and activating your account. So this is a process where you need to fill out their form and start to put in some details here. You may need to put some extra information on your website. This is really about the standard process that you would need to go through when you are wanting to do live transactions with any payment gateway. So you would do that, and once you've gone through that and you've been approved, you would go back to the configuration here. You would change this to live mode, and you would put in the 2 live keys and reset up the webhook and repeat the same thing again for the live signing secret there. So that's it. If there's any questions, obviously please let me know via email and contact me via the concrete5 support page. And that's it. Cheers.